Scott, I moved you over to panelist. Can you hear me?
Yes,
I'm okay. I'm going to move a couple people over. We have almost all of the commission are going to be on Zoom. So I will move everybody over momentarily or as soon as they arrive.
okay.
For those that are waiting online, we've got 2 more minutes until we start the meeting. We currently do have enough members for a quorum. So even though we are waiting for at least 1 or 2 more members, we do have a quorum and we'll be able to start at 7 o'clock.
Shall we?
Good evening. My name is Jeff Smith. I'm chairperson of the Webster Groves Plan Commission. We are a 9-member board of citizens appointed by the city council to review development proposals and make recommendations to the city council regarding future development of the city. In addition to the members of the Plan Commission participating in person and via teleconference, we have a few other representatives of the city I would like to introduce. Acting City Attorney Peter Bruntrager, Planning and Development Director Mara Perry, and Denise Buleski, our recording secretary. I would like to welcome you all to tonight's monthly meeting of the commission and take this opportunity to explain how we operate. As indicated in our agenda, we will begin with the regular session of the meeting and when we will hear new applications for rezoning or subdivisions. We will hear a staff report and the applicant will explain the proposal. We will then ask for comments from the public. At that time, anyone with an interest in the proposal may indicate to city staff they have a question or would like to express their opinion. To make sure that we accurately record your name, we ask that you fill out a speaker's card if you are in person and turn it in to Ms. Buleski. For those on Zoom, please click on the raise hand feature of Zoom. To make sure that we accurately record your name, we ask that you identify your full name and address at the beginning of your statement, either in person or on Zoom. When you make your comments, we ask that you be as concise as possible and not repeat a point made by a previous speaker. We also ask that you limit your comments to 3 minutes. One person who is a spokesperson for an organization may have 6 minutes to comment. After all citizens have spoken, the applicant will be asked to respond to any questions that have been raised during the hearing. When we have finished reviewing one proposal, we will move on to the next application. Comments concerning items not on the agenda should be made during the public comment section of the agenda near the beginning of the meeting. When we've completed the regular portion of the agenda, we will go into executive session. At that time, the commission will discuss the proposal and may decide to vote on the application or to postpone the decision. You are welcome to remain and listen to the discussion, but there will be no additional opportunity for public comment at that time. Our recommendations are sent to the city council. In most cases, the council will conduct a similar hearing and must enact an ordinance before the proposal is finally approved. If the Plan Commission takes a vote tonight, the city council will likely take up this issue at its next meeting. If you want information regarding our vote or the progress of the application, you may contact staff at City Hall. I would ask that the secretary read the first item for tonight's regular meeting. Tony, would you like to?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. Approval of minutes from November 2nd, 2022.
All right.
Yeah, I'm going to have you, speak closer into the microphone.
Okay. Approval of the minutes from November 2nd, 2022.
Any discussion or comments?
I'll move to approve. Mike.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Next item.
Item number 3 is public comment.
Anyone online?
So this is the opportunity if someone is online and wants to speak on any item that is not on the agenda, you can raise your hand now.
Okay. Item number 4, public hearing. 22 PC 07 Telva LLC, Telva at the Ridge, an application by Telva LLC for a conditional use permit to allow a coffee shop, no drive-through use in the existing structure located on a 0.45 acre lot at 60 North Gore Avenue in the D Commercial District.
So hold on just a second. I'm going to mute a couple people so that we don't have extra background noise. So Mara Perry, Director of Planning and Development for the City of Webster Groves. I'm going to make a PowerPoint presentation in regards to the request. I posted up here on the slide the information regarding how we have been doing meetings when we have a combination. Sorry, trying to do move too many things at once, on how we are taking public comment. So people can attend in person and speak. We also can have comments that are either sent in via mail or email. If someone is not going to be in attendance, we would then read those aloud. If someone wants to be on Zoom and then speak, we have the ability for them to raise their hand. And we've been given a reminder that each speaker will have 3 minutes, and the order of the speakers will begin with those who are in person, followed by those who have told us ahead of time that they would like to speak, and then hands up in the Zoom meeting. So I'm going to move through the slides for the PowerPoint presentation for this evening. The application that we've already listed, the title has already been read into the record. This property is located at 60 North Gore Avenue. It's in the D Commercial District and has an existing CUP that was approved back in 2021 for uses of a event space, banquet facility, as well as other uses to be used for classes, dancing. We use Dancing Academy because there was an opportunity for maybe yoga classes and other things within the facility. The surrounding uses, to the north is the D Commercial District. To the east is the A4 7,500 square foot residence district, which is the Marshall Place Historic District. To the south is additional D Commercial, and to the west is PC Planned Commercial. It has a number of industrial uses in that area that are still existing from before the PC Planned Commercial zoning. Existing conditions that you can see here is the existing Rolling Ridge Nursery structure that would have the coffee shop use that's being proposed within it. You'll see the facility from North Gore looking east towards the front of the building up at the top left-hand corner, a corner looking kind of north at both the corner, the facade along Gore, as well as this facade along Marshall Place. Another view looking southwest from Marshall Place, and then looking west from Marshall Place at what is more considered the rear of the building, and the secondary piece of property that is also a part of the Rolling Ridge land. History of the property. In 1893, the existing structure was built as the Henry Schultz Feed and Grain Store. In 1923, that property was zoned E Industrial District. In 1959, Rolling Ridge Nursery was opened up by the Macmillans. In 1987, 60 North Gore, as a part of a whole other area of Old Webster that wasn't originally zoned E Industrial, was changed to the D Commercial District to become a part of the overall Old Webster, and in what some people call North Old Webster, the area or the railroad area. And then the only other bit of history in 2021, there was a CUP for the Willow in Webster, which is the banquet facility use and the use for classes. There are additional spaces within the building that have had office tenants in the past. We do always have to look at the comprehensive plan when looking at things related to typically rezonings with the CUP, because we are not rezoning it. We're not specifically looking at the comprehensive plan in regards to that, because if it is already a list of a permitted conditional use that you can request within the rezoning, it really means that we're still staying in compliance with the comprehensive plan. But we always find it's important to still look at that and look at whether the conditional use, how it's being operated, will fit in with what the comprehensive plan has moving forward. In this case, the comprehensive plan has it recommended as a mixed use development. So the coffee shop, no drive-through use, in concert with the other uses within that structure, would constitute a mixed use development. When looking at a conditional use permit, we do have to go through the zoning analysis. That analysis is in regards to the 5 factors. So as the Planning Commission is looking at these factors, they're looking at them in determining how they would move it forward to the City Council. The council has to determine whether the proposed coffee shop no drive-through use will not substantially increase traffic hazards or congestion, substantially increase fire hazards, adversely affect the character of the neighborhood, adversely affect the general welfare of the community, or overtax public utilities. So that is what you are also reviewing as you make your recommendation to the City Council. So the first thing that I'm going to look at is in relationship to the use. The applicant has proposed to use the existing structure for the property of the coffee shop. In this case, You can see you can see in yellow in the drawing that is the upper drawing on the PowerPoint slide. That was the floor plan that was submitted with the CUP for the event space. They were looking at the area where they were going to have the ability for caterers to come in and use a space to bring food in, not have a full kitchen. There was an area for tables to be set out, which is how we established a maximum amount of people who could access the facility, both for fire as well as then looking at the parking code. So that area was identified for the event space use. The proposal is to use the same space that was going to be used for the caterer, and that would be the area for the coffee shop. So it acts more along the lines of a almost like a coffee cart in some ways. Food will be brought in. It will not be prepared necessarily there, but food will be brought in that will be able to be warmed up, but it will not be put together in that location. They would have that same space that when the coffee shop is not in use, the event space could be in use and vice versa, but they would not be operating essentially at the same time due to the fact that the space is having to be used for both the uses. Because of that, the analysis that staff reviewed looked carefully at how that use would impact the parking, how that use would still impact the fire code, and then how it would be needed, how it would need to look at getting its health department inspections and other things related to that particular use. There is a proposal for seasonal outdoor seating that would be on the Gore side within that plant area. And the proposal for tables are proposed to be more like little tiny, 2-person tables. They're not going to be the larger size 4- or 6-person tables, more cafe type tables for that outdoor area. In looking at the parking analysis, the way that we reviewed the parking analysis for the event space was looking at how many parking spaces the Rolling Ridge Nursery property, they have multiple properties that they own, could facilitate for the after hours use and what it could facilitate while the nursery was in operation. So when we were looking at that, we were also looking at, again, when the event space is being used, how these uses would work in concert with one another. So the same thing was looked at for the coffee space. If the coffee space is operating early in the morning and into the early afternoon, if there was an afternoon event, they wouldn't be able to share that same space in terms of where the caterer would be and other things like that, or they would be having a smaller event that would be not hitting the maximum for that was listed in the CUP for number of people that could be in attendance. So as looking at in that manner, the overall number of parking spaces at the maximum amount of people attending an event was required to be 65 parking spaces. Again, because they can't be used at the same time, the coffee shop use would need no more than that 65 parking spaces because of the way that they would have to operate between the two spaces. So staff made the determination that because we already had a CUP that required that they have 65 spaces at any given point in time, whether they restripe them, reorganize them between the 3 lots, that amount is still operating on this property and would hold true for the coffee shop use also. So they still cannot reduce that number by 65 parking spaces. And then again, that relates to the overlapping set of uses. I will also point out, which wasn't in the report, but the event space is being taken over by the same LLC that's operating the coffee shop. So we have a change of use for CUP where it's just when the user is changing, it no longer has to go back to either Plan Commission or technically City Council for a public hearing. It's now administratively approved, but it will be on the agenda for the next city council meeting to just create an ordinance with the new name. But it is the same LLC that's going to be operating both spaces. So they will be ensuring that the overlap will be addressed between the two uses and how they would operate. Hours of operation. The coffee shop use has requested a 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. all days of the week. The applicant can probably explain what they're doing and why they're asking for that. Do note that the event space was proposed and is in the ordinance at 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. So if there are questions in regards to what they've asked for, staff did not have a concern with the 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. based on how other businesses operate within the community. But that's still something that needs to be taken into account and looked at in terms of how it's going to operate. Our noise ordinance, as well as our different performance standards, many of them have things that start at 7 a.m. in regards to noise generated from businesses. And so there will be some things that need to be taken into consideration between 6 a.m. and 7 a.m. We do have and would recommend that we're not going to add any additional performance standards, or at least we, at the point that we reviewed it, didn't have any additional performance standards. We had initially put in that the performance standards that are there for the D commercial district should hopefully address all of the outstanding issues related to that. There is no proposal for any new lighting, but should any new lighting be proposed, the maximum lighting is 0.5 foot candles at any residential property line. It's important to note because there is residential to the east. The dimensional regulations, because they are not proposing to change any configuration to any structures, we recommend that the D commercial district setbacks be in place. The structure is a non-conforming structure. The southern property line goes 1.11 feet into the Marshall Place right-of-way. So it is a legal non-conforming structure. And if they should try to make any changes to that, they would need to come into compliance or obtain a variance. That was all that staff had in regards to this. I can go through our initial staff recommendation before the applicant makes a presentation. But are there any questions before I get into recommendations?
Yeah, Mara, this is Mike. I appreciate that. I was a little confused after reading the application between the event space and this space, but it sounds like they're about the same thing. And so like number 5 there, it say this CUP will run with the applicant, not the land. And you had the previous CUP on the event space. Was it not personal to? Did it run with the people or with the land?
No, Mike, there are 2 CUPs. The other CUP, which was under another LLC, is being changed to be under Telva LLC, but that's a separate application that doesn't need to go before the Plan Commission. And then this is just for the coffee space. So all of these recommendations and regulations that would be put in the ordinance would be for the coffee use only. So there will be 2 separate CUPs that will be running at the same time on the property.
But that other one, if I heard you right, that's right. That other one does need to get switched to the new LLC, but that does not have anything to do with the board.
So that is an administrative approval by staff. And staff has already administratively approved the change because they are going to adhere to all the regulations in that CUP ordinance as it was previously approved by the council. The only thing that's going to change is the LLC name because it is personal to the applicant. And that will go before the council just to make that name change so that there's an official ordinance on the books.
Thanks, I have me confused.
All right, so, and I kind of have the same question that Mike had, and I realize it's probably, it's not specifically germane to this, but are future CUP is going to have the requirement or recommendation that the use permit is personal to the applicant. That's what we've always done. But now they'll always be approved with that. Presumably that's the approach, but they'll always have the option then in the future to be administratively changed.
So you all approved that a couple years ago.
Yeah.
So yes, if someone wants to buy a property that has a CUP on it, if they are planning to simply adhere to every regulation that's already in that ordinance, it used to be that, well, originally it was you had to go through a public hearing at Plan Commission, then a public hearing at City Council just to get the name change. Then we changed it briefly to you would just go to City Council for a public hearing. But again, in those cases, there was nothing changing. They were saying that they would adhere to however it had been operated in the past. So we did change the code that if there is no substantial change, they're not making any changes to any of the regulations, that it is now able to be administratively approved. We approved that. It was on the books and then we ended up having to approve it during COVID. So we never had anyone come in. So the first one to come in is actually the one that is about to go to the council on tomorrow night. And that is, I don't know if we'd completely thought through, okay, if it's administratively approved, but there's an ordinance on the books with the name change, we still have to get another ordinance with the name change. So it is still going to be on the council's agenda, but it's on the council's agenda without a public hearing to simply make the name change and create a new ordinance.
Mara, do you know where the entrances are? I mean, do they park in the back by that? Are they both entrances going to be open? Is only one entrance going to be open, or is that the applicant I should ask?
The applicant will have to answer that, how they're going to operate that in that manner. Any other questions by Plan Commission?
Yeah, I've got one, if I can find my notes. You said that and I apologize if you stated this as well, the hours of operation are the same for the nursery, 6 a.m.?
No, I said, I don't have this, the nursery doesn't require a CUP, which
Right.
means that there is no specified set of hours of operation. The hours of operation that were requested and were put into the CUP for the event space
Mhm.
is 7 a.m. to 11 p.m.
Okay, the report said the operations coincide with the hours of operation for the nursery. So that's what.
Oh, sorry. I didn't realize I'd
Okay.
written it in that way.
Okay.
I was,
So without any, that's fine. So without any restrictions there, then it's just general noise requirements as that would apply.
so the
to-
decommercial district has performance standards that have two different sets of decibel levels for sound before 6 a.m. and before 7 a.m. And then there's decibel levels for 7 a.m. through a time frame. So that would be something that is already in place, but there's always that question of, there are ways that the sound can be measured. There's ways that if there is certain amount of sustained sound, it's easier to measure than something that might be very short-lived that, is more of a police call and a disturbance of the peace. So that might be a question in regards to how they operate in the earlier hours, whether it's employees coming in, set up, or that early hours from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m.
My question is about signage. I know this comes under the performance standards, but in the D district, would signage for something like this, would you have something in that D district restrictions for if they wanted to put signage?
So it's not under performance standards, it's in the sign code.
Okay.
So it is in the sign code and it's not specific to any particular district. It's related to the physical configuration of the building. So they are supposed to put signage on the outside walls of their lease space. So that would allow them to put a sign on the Marshall Avenue side and potentially a sign on the parking lot side if they're needing, so a lot of times when there's a multi-tenant space, you can have a series of signage that sort of gets you into the building. You can also have a monument sign with multiple names on it. And then you can have a wall sign on the outside of the event of the lease space.
Okay, and the size and all that stuff will be specified in the sign code.
All in the sign code, correct.
Okay.
Okay.
Any comments from
Well, do you want,
members online
so first you want the
or
applicants?
questions? I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't think any of the other commission members had questions. Does anyone else have questions
No.
of staff?
Am I
I don't-
allowed to ask a question? Because I do have one.
Sure.
So with the hours of operation, which shall not exceed the following 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. And then because I was looking at the letter that's in here from one of the residents that's concerned about the noise that may occur that early in the morning. And it seems like with what we're seeing or what I'm hearing here, we're just saying that, okay, we understand that by them operating between 6 a.m. and 4 p.m., that they're within the requirements or the guidelines of the current zoning or what have you. So there's no question there. But I mean, are we addressing the concerns that there may be noise, that the residents on that side are now going to be subject to, especially if people start actually getting there at 5 a.m. so that they're ready to open up at 6 and any of that? I mean, is that addressed at all?
So Councilmember Alexander, that letter came today. So staff's report and presentation are always based on our initial information. That's why
Okay.
we hold the public hearing, so that the residents around who've been notified with a letter, as well as their signs posted on the property, they have the opportunity to voice their concerns, and the Plan Commission can add additional recommendations as needed. But that's what this opportunity is. So this hearing is what gives them the opportunity to ask those questions and for the Plan Commission to add anything that should be necessary. But staff didn't have time to make our presentation change or our staff report change when we don't get information until the hearing. So that's why that gives us the opportunity at the hearing to make additional changes and add additional recommendations as needed.
Okay. And the reason that I just bring that up is because this is a daily thing. I know I cringe every Tuesday morning when the trash trucks come through the neighborhood. And it's so I can just imagine what change there might be if it actually is something that's audible to residents on a daily basis that early. That was just my question.
So, yeah, that'll be something we'll explore a little bit as we move forward this evening. Would you like to make
Yeah.
staff recommendations?
I'll make staff recommendations, but then we can have the applicant come on.
Yeah.
So staff's initial recommendations were all provisions of the city code shall apply except as expressly modified in this ordinance. Just to clarify and make sure you all understand, that would mean that things like the sign ordinance, the performance standards, any other things in our city code would apply. Hours of operation shall not exceed the following: 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. daily. Just as a reminder, there are no hours of operation for uses that are permitted within the district. We don't have a standard set of hours of operation for permitted uses. We only put hours of operation in for conditional. The applicant shall be responsible for pickup of all litter on their property and litter generated from their facility onto adjacent properties or rights of way. The uses shall not encroach further beyond the south front property line than the existing legal non-conforming commercial structure. The dimensional regulations of the D-commercial district shall apply. That would adhere to building of structures. And so that would be any new structures, which they are not proposing at this time to do. And then this conditional use permit is personal to the applicant and shall not run with the land. So if you want to ask the applicant
Yeah, please.
if they'd like to speak.
Would the applicant care to speak?
So I see two people on, but neither has raised their hand.
Ask the applicant to raise their hand.
Well, hold on.
Is the applicant on?
That's what I'm trying to find out. Lynn, I just unmuted you because I don't see Lauren on.
Yes. I can't speak for Lauren. I know she's very busy. I can only speak for Rolling Ridge and the, the conversations that we've had with you, Mara, and with Lauren. So first, I guess I want to address the concerns about the noise. So anybody that's familiar with the building should be aware that the employees, when they will show up, will be coming off of Gore and will enter off of the little side gate that we have on Gore Avenue. So there should be no early before opening hours traffic at all on Marshall Place. So all parking will be on our lot across on Gore, and all employees come in the side gate off of Marshall Place, right at the corner of Marshall and Gore. So that shouldn't be an issue. We're, as Rolling Ridge and as my family's being the building owner and the property owner and everything, we could not be more excited to have Lauren Crowley and her crew wanting to put an amazing little coffee shop with pastries and things in our building. As you all know, that is a big brick monstrosity of a building that is not new. And having an extra tenant will help us be able to financially keep the building sound and keep it in good working order. Lauren has a lot of really amazing things planned. Most everybody knows how successful she has been with Balkan Treat Box. Anyone who was at our Customer Appreciation Day yesterday got a little glimpse of some of the fun things that can be going on in that building. So we're really excited to have her join us and put in a little coffee shop with pastries and little things. And traffic, I can't imagine that traffic will really change at all. Rolling Ridge's hours mainly are 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. There are some times in our busy season that we will be there or stay open a little bit later than that. But again, we try our very hardest to keep all the traffic and everything coming off of Gore and off of Marshall Place. It is our hope that we can start unloading some of our trucks and things over on the Pacific lot. Now that we know we can actually do something with that lot over there. So it is our hope to get a lot of our hard goods, our palletized goods, our own personal trucks and vans, and our deliveries unloaded over on Pacific so that we can continue to be mindful of the Marshall Place traffic. So in time, that's what we're hoping to be able to do there as well. So does anybody have any questions for me as it pertains to the building, Rolling Ridge, and the coffee shop?
Yes, this is Steve Hunkins. I would like to know the deliveries are the deliveries for the coffee shop going to be on the parking lot by the residents, or is it coming through the front also?
Well, they can probably, I mean, from what Lauren told me, they're literally just going to be carrying boxes in every morning. They're not going to be, they'll pull up on Marshall Place at Gore, come in that side gate like I just talked to you about, and go in. They will not probably unload too much on the back Marshall Place parking lot. But from what I understand, it's just a matter of carrying a few boxes in. They'll have their coffee makers and everything already up. They'll just bring in the food that they're going to serve that morning and early afternoon. And so they won't have, their delivery trucks will be nothing compared to our delivery trucks.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah. Any other questions from commission?
Just one clarification. You said you weren't sure which, sounds like we know where the employees, what they're going to use. Do we know what customers will be using? What entrances customers will be using?
Oh, sure, absolutely. The customers will use the same entrances that we have right now. So we have 5 parking spaces on our back lot off of Marshall Place. There's an entrance off of Marshall Place. There's probably 2 or 3 street parking spaces from the end of our building to the sign on Gore. There's parking on Gore, and then we have our lots across. And so their customers will park the same place that our customers will park also.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I don't see Lauren on. I know she, a couple hours ago, asked for the Zoom link and I did send it to her. So I don't know if something came up. I don't have anyone else.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
we can only,
Yeah.
go
we
with
can
what
only
we
do
have.
could do.
so
Um,
it would
so
have been
if
nice
you-
to have her, but
Yeah. So if you wanted to move on to public comment, you can.
yeah, please. All right, any comments from the public?
Well, Kevin Hastings. I put my letter here today, so I don't know if I have to get that. I was happy to hear Lynn talking about traffic. That was an issue.
Evan, I'm sorry, it's really hard to hear you. Could you speak directly into the microphone?
into the.
Sure, sorry. I was very happy to have Lynn talk about some new things that they might be doing with deliveries and parking and stuff. That's great. That really wasn't, my concern. My concern is a bedroom, second floor bedroom that looks out over this entrance, and at 5 or 5:30, if people are just carrying boxes and closing car doors and stuff, I think it's gonna be disruptive. I mean, maybe it won't be, but I'd really like to get out in front of it now, right? Because you'd rather talk about it now when we can be good neighbors and not have it to be a thing. Not have it to be, somebody out there with a decibel meter after 10 days of people slamming doors at 5 o'clock in the morning. That's the worst case scenario. I trust that the applicant would do everything they could to minimize it, but why not talk about it now before we get too far down the road?
I think that the 5 o'clock would be across the street because that would be employees.
That's
The
one
public
thing that
doesn't
Lynn
come
said.
until 6.
Lynn said that, and that could be part of what your recommendations are too, that you would restrict the use prior to 6 a.m. to the Gore entrance and the Gore parking. That would be great. That would be certainly a step in the right direction.
So do you not have a problem with, do you have a problem with the 6 a.m. With the 6 a.m. start time?
I think it could be challenging. Of course, my preference would be to have a 7 a.m. start because of where I'm located. I'm generally an early riser, so I'm a little less concerned about 6 a.m. as I am on 5, but I have a daughter that's, in that upstairs bedroom, and I think if there's a successful as Balkan Treat box, you're going to have 5 carts coming in and out, getting coffee starting at 6 to 7, and it's going to be noticeable.
Mhm.
So, I mean, if it were possible to either have opening hours at 7 or restrict the entrance to the Gore side until 7, that would solve the problem, but I don't know if that's practical for the applicant. And again, I'm looking for a win-win here. I'm not opposed to the thing.
I get it.
So I just wanted to make that clear. I think it's a great use for the space. I'm happy for Lynn and Rolling Ridge to have that opportunity. So just trying to work out some of the details.
Thank you. Do we have anybody else that, and I'll ask Lynn, and I know she's not the applicant, but if she wants to respond, but do we have anybody else online that cares to comment?
There's one other person online, but I'm not sure who exactly they are, but
Okay.
they have not raised their
Their hand's not
hand
raised.
that they want to speak.
All right. Okay.
I could allow Lynn to talk again if she can
She's
answer.
seeming a proxy for the applicant this evening, so
Yeah.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, so I think from my conversations with Lauren, it's not my understanding that their employees will be arriving at 5 a.m. I think they will be, when they close for the day, they'll have everything set up for morning. And then it'll just be a matter of them bringing in their pastries and food products and getting the coffee going. So I don't anticipate a lot of 5 a.m. comings and goings. I fully appreciate that that's very early. I too am an early riser, but I don't like to listen to that either. So I fully appreciate where they're coming from there. I've made it very clear that our employees go in and out and don't come in and out of the Marshall Place entrance any earlier than we have to. We usually don't get there much before 8 a.m. So sometimes even later than that. So I can certainly make sure that Lauren's employees stay on the Gore Avenue. As far as people coming and going, there are a few parking places back there on Marshall Place. So I do understand, but I would like to think that it wouldn't be too much of a distraction to have some cars pulling in, grabbing their coffee and stuff and then heading out. But I do appreciate the fact that there will be car doors closing and opening, and that is a thing. I fully understand that. But as far as employees, we can definitely enforce coming in off of Gore and that side gate.
And deliveries, just to clarify, you spoke to this before, but so what I'm hearing is people bringing food in their cars or minivans or something like that, not a delivery truck
Correct.
per se.
Correct. Yes. Everything that they'll be serving and doing, a lot of their supplies, coffee will already be on site. They'll just bring in their pastries. So what I'm envisioning is somebody carrying in a few boxes full of food that they will heat up and serve on site that day.
All right. Thank you.
I have one more question for Lynn, if I can ask before she mutes herself again. And I just, maybe others know too, are both Marshall and Gore handicap accessible entrances?
Marshall Place is handicapped. Gore is not.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Where are we at? Next item. Or is that where we're at?
Any other questions?
I think we've-
I don't see anyone else online who wishes to speak.
Is that,
So
that's the only one. Yeah.
make a motion to close the public hearing. I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second it.
All right. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? All right.
There are no plats and site plans, so adjournment of the regular session. Make a motion to adjourn the regular session.
I second it.
Moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? All right. We're in executive session.
Okay. 22 PC 07 Telva LLC, Telva at the Ridge, an application by Telva LLC for a conditional use permit to allow coffee shop, no drive-through use in the existing structure located on a 0.45 acre lot at 60 North Gore Avenue in the D Commercial District.
Okay. Discussion?
I like it. I mean, I think it's a good use. I don't think it's any more intense than what's already there. Going through the 5 things, I don't see anything that stands out to me.
Yeah, I agree. I know that they're opening at 6, but that doesn't mean there's gonna be a lot of people going in at 6. I go to the bread company at 6 a lot, and there's usually not that many people that come in At 7, it starts getting busy though. I will say that.
I also think if people are going down Gore, they're gonna park on Gore
Just keep going, right?
rather than pull around to the Marshalls. I mean,
Yes.
but I could be wrong.
I know,
People
no, I
do.
know, me too.
And like Maddie brought up, it is a handicapped entrance on that side.
On that
so-
backside.
So that is an issue, but I don't think it would be a problem, but someone may
Maybe
have
we should do
another
the
take on it.
5 things, make sure it's not.
Oh, we will.
Do you want me to go back to the slide with the 5 factors?
Yeah, you can put it up and let's see if we're there yet. I mean, I was primarily concerned with deliveries. From a noise standpoint, it seems to be that should not be an issue, at least in my mind, but I mean, there probably will be be a car door here and there.
If you wish to, you can add an additional recommendation that requires that deliveries be made on the Gore side, or that employees are required to park on the Gore side, from that standpoint. If you feel that that's an important item to add to the CUP.
I wouldn't be adverse to including that as employee parking must take place on Pacific, just to address, the neighbor's concern. I wouldn't be adverse to that, but
Yeah, for employees, they're gonna park where they're told to park. so.
Right.
I did have one question for staff, though. I know when the event space came in, they requested 7 a.m. That was their request for the 7 a.m. and they're requesting 6 a.m. just for operational purposes. I can't remember whether there was any discussion at that time about a 7 a.m.
I don't remember any specific discussion at that time about the 7 a.m. They were talking about the possibility of having yoga classes. So I think there was like the early morning yoga classes. But I don't think there was anything related to the 7 a.m. just because 7 a.m. is sort of when some of our sound and noise things come into play. Like you can do construction starting at 7 a.m. and other things. So I don't think there was much discussion. I know Lynn had stated that, in talking with Lauren talked to me a little bit about because I asked about the 6 a.m. start time. And she said, because this is their first foray into coffee uses, she just wasn't exactly sure what that perfect time was going to be, whether it was 6, 6:30 or 7. If we put 7 in the CUP and they determined that there were all these people that wanted to come in at 6:45, then we had that problem where they'd have to come back to city council to amend their hours. So she had requested the 6 a.m. after asking some questions in regards to like how that CUP would operate.
And I would think that a coffee shop at 6 makes sense. An event, there's not that many events that are going to start at 6 a.m. So if somebody's going to come have an
She was talking
event.
more like classes and stuff.
Right.
You know.
So,
Yeah, I mean, I think 7 is late for a coffee shop to open, and I'm not an early riser, but I'm a medium riser. Any comments from commission members online?
Yeah, this is Grace. Just in that same vein, I'm very amenable to putting in an additional stipulation for employee parking on Gore and deliveries before 7 on Gore. I think that that seems like it would fit everybody's needs. And then the only other thing is just noting, I'm not sure if everybody's familiar with the 5 parking spots on the back, but 3 of those, they're situated, there is some space between the next property. So hopefully, if somebody does arrive right at 6, it's not like super loud for them to slam their car door. But I think if we add those into the recommendations, hopefully the concerned citizen will get a little bit of relief from those employees who arrive.
I definitely appreciate the sentiment. I think that this location is really hard to navigate for accessibility. And if it's their practice that their employees would park on Gore, which we would, assume they probably would be, right? Because they would want to save that closer parking for their customers. I think we should let them go ahead and put that in their practice and not put it in as a condition of the use, so that if they did have an employee that needed to use that, to park in that space, then they would be able to do that. Also, it would probably be less disturbing because then they're just coming in one time, right? If they park there, instead of people coming and going, creating noise multiple times. So that's just my opinion. I won't, you know, I don't have a hard stop or go, right? But just food for thought.
I actually think that's an important. Oh, I'm so sorry, Scott. I think that's important for inclusivity to consider.
There's a freight train that goes right past this property, right?
No.
Well,
south-
yeah, it's,
south of it,
yeah, it's,
And we're
80
worried
yards
about a little
away.
door slamming?
I know, I agree.
Come on.
Yeah. Yeah.
well, should we, I forget if we want to
Conditions?
add a condition, we do that before or after the factors,
You can do the factors first.
and then.
And then you can, someone can make a motion with the amendment that they propose.
All right. Okay. So let's, real quick, are there any other comments from staff, from commission? All right, let's go through the 5 factors. Factor 1, substantially increased traffic hazards or congestion.
No.
No.
No,
Substantially increased fire hazards.
No.
No.
no,
Adversely affect the character of the neighborhood.
No.
no,
Adversely affect the general welfare of the community.
no,
Overtax public utilities.
No.
no.
All right, I will entertain a motion to approve or to add a recommendation regarding staff parking.
I'll move to adopt the PC with staff's recommendations as expressed tonight.
I would second it. I guess the only thing I'm a little hesitant. I'd second it. I'll just throw out there that, you know, I'm a deaf guy, so a lot of this talk about noise is completely lost on me. Wear a cochlear implant, I take it off and I go to bed. So.
All right, well, it
I'll
has been
second.
moved and seconded. So we have to put it to a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Hi,
Aye. We'll do roll call. Opposed? All right, we'll do roll call. Here first, Steve.
Aye.
Chair says aye. Tony?
Aye.
Online, Maddie?
Aye.
Annie?
I'm excited.
Grace?
hi,
And Scott?
Aye.
And Mike.
Mike.
Oh, yeah, Mike was behind
Aye.
Denise's nameplate there. Sorry, Mike, aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carries.
Item number 7, other business, 2023 meeting schedule, meeting times.
Oh, yeah.
Can we get a quick clarification? Because we're just asking. So the motion was
As presented.
as presented. Okay.
Yep.
Yes. So just as presented. Okay. Sorry, wanted to get that clarification.
Or as recommended.
As recommended. Okay.
I know it's a first, but
So under other business, I did put the calendar for the new year on your agenda. Please note the Charter Review Advisory Commission. Its acronym is CRAB. Charter Review Advisory Board. It's CRAB, so they call them the CRAB meetings. The CRAB meetings, they picked the first and third Monday of the month from 5 to 7. So that essentially means that they are in here all set up with their meetings ending at 7. Until as we get to each meeting, I'm going to have to make some determinations on what we're going to do, whether we're going to move our meetings back to 7:30 on those nights, or whether we need to think about some other options.
So they're going to be in here before and their meetings are going to end at 7,
Correct.
knowing that we meet at 7.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Who approved this?
The Charter Review Advisory Board approved that.
But
Approved
no
their
one,
own?
no one from staff kind of said,
It's okay.
So,
we need to
it's just
do-
one Monday, so.
Whatever
it's
we
just
need
one.
to do, we'll do.
So I'm going to look at them each, like, I'm going to wait until I find out if we have an application. So if we have an application with a hearing, we'll have a conversation and determine what we need to do or not do in regards to each month. They currently are proposed to meet twice a month. But if they get like too busy or there's not enough time between meetings, they might eliminate some of the meetings. So because I don't know all of that yet, I've put the calendar together as the first Monday of the month. We have that flexibility that we can possibly change if we need to change. So we'll just kind of go from there, depending on what we have and what applications come in. But I just wanted to make everybody aware that they're in here from 5 to 7 p.m. and they have a pretty large group. So they have a whole table set up and other things like that. So until I'm just waiting to find out like how they're going to meet and what they're going to do. They did not, because of some other things, they didn't conflict with tonight's meeting. So that was good. And they didn't conflict with November's that we did all online. So I'll just wait and see if we have any applications that even come in for January, and then we'll see where that we go from there. They're supposed to be pretty quick in terms of what they do. I don't think they're supposed to go for more than like 4 or 5 months with twice a month. So we shouldn't, as we get further into the year, have any conflicts.
You were saying you're going to see if there's any applications for us in January?
Right.
Yes. So the Plan Commission deadline, I think, is coming up next week, just because of the way that the holidays work and other things. So I won't know until next week if I have anything coming in. No one has said that they're bringing anything into me for Plan Commission. So there's a very strong chance that we might not have a January meeting.
Or it could be delayed.
Yeah, so
It'll be fine.
February 6th. They're in here until
7.
55 or whatever, and then they get out.
Yes, that is correct.
I mean, but I don't want to be bouncing our times around just to.
We'll do the hypothetical.
Yeah, or
We'll
change.
work it
or
out.
Changing
Yeah,
at the
we'll,
last minute.
yeah,
right.
we'll be flexible.
So we would have to know, I have to do ads for public hearings.
Right.
So we will know a month ahead of time if we need to make a change for one of the first few months of the year. But again, no one's really come in with anything recently. No one's really talked to me. I've had a couple conversations about some CUPs that have not come to fruition. Others have been able to work out things where their uses are in districts that the zoning already allows it, which has been great. So we will continue to move on along those lines. Our chairperson is going to be speaking. They've reinstituted, the council wants the different chairs to come back in like they did prior to COVID once a year to give a quick report. So our chairperson will be giving a quick report, and there could be the opportunity to just ask about direction on any text amendments that they'd like the commission to look at or move forward with. If we have those, I still have to, again, advertise ahead of time. We still have things that we need to do. But once we know that, you will know a month in advance what time we're going to hold the meeting, if we should need to bounce a couple of them in the first part of the year around.
Why don't they? Bounce their, it's okay.
It's what it is. It is what it is.
They bounced their week. We can be.
Who's in
flexible.
charge? Who's the head crab?
I don't know, actually. Sorry, I don't
There's so
know.
many of them. No worries.
Take care of
We should be fine.
Yes.
We should be fine. I don't think we're going to have any issues.
All right.
I don't think we're going to get anything in the first couple of months of the year. People have been pretty busy with other things that they're working on. Union Bagel turned in their business license, which means that they might be opening soon.
Great.
Last truck.
Yay, yay.
Yeah, I saw.
Well, that Annie's
Um,
gonna be eating a lot of places.
For those that don't know, Bijou Chocolates opened. It's artisan chocolates across the street from the Novel Neighbor. So if you're looking for some lovely chocolates for the holiday season, they have very specialized artisan chocolates there. And then I know a lot of people have asked about the coffee shop and attorney's office that's under construction in Old Webster.
Bill?
They're still under construction. They've been doing a lot of work in the last few weeks. I think they're trying to get things done before their permits expire.
What was the delay? Do we know?
I don't know on that
I
one.
don't really
Yeah, with
care.
a lot of these projects, some of the delays were specialty materials. Some of the delays were contractors just
Yeah,
being
you can't get
available.
'em.
Yeah, I'm hoping that one should be quite soon.
Okay.
There's another item on the council's agenda tomorrow for the transfer of CUP. I assume that's Llewellyn's from.
No, it's CJ
Oh, not-
Muggs.
oh, Sorry, you CJ, Muggs, yeah,
Yes.
okay.
There is a transfer of ownership, CUP on the council agenda for tomorrow night. Same thing. Their ordinance was super old and had some really old language in it. So we updated it to all the current language, but other than that, they were following everything that was in their CUP. So both that and Telva changing over from the Willow Webster Telva ownership change, both of those are on for approval at the council tomorrow night. Well, they have to have their first and second reading. They won't get approved till the 20th.
We doing a holiday party?
I was just gonna ask that.
Go ahead.
Nope.
Are we doing a holiday party this year?
I
Have you
I have-
heard anything?
not heard that there is.
Are you on the outs? No. I'm
I've
kidding.
I've not heard that there
The cricket
is.
board taking the space.
I've not heard that there is one.
Usually like the
Yeah,
second
yeah, it's-
Wednesday or something,
like-
so.
Yeah, I have not heard that there is
Okay.
one.
right.
Yeah, our employee one is this Friday
Okay.
at the rec center.
It's a new council, so they,
Yeah,
Happy holidays.
happy holidays. If I don't talk to others, happy holidays. If anyone needs anything, you know where to find me.
yeah, Merry Christmas. Hard to believe it's here.
Motion to adjourn?
Anything
Second,
else?
I don't think so.
She seconded my
Yeah,
motion.
second. All right,
I'm in.
all right.
Aye.
Seconded, aye,
Aye.
all right. Everyone
Aye.
have a great holiday.
Thank you.
Thank you, you too. Bye.
thanks.
Bye.
See you next year.
Merry Christmas. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks.
Merry Christmas.
Are we off?